Brent, I want to thank you so much for joining us for Eau Claire Quakers pre-worship enrichment. It's over to you.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. Uh, I was happy when Mark asked me. Originally, it was a while ago, but some life things happened in between. And so to be able to be here with you today, I am seated at my farm, Plowshares Farm in rural Indiana, which has uh, been a project of the last 21 years of turning Indiana farmland into a nature preserve of prairie, tall grass prairie, and native hardwood trees. And part of that has to do with what I'm going to speak about this morning, the idea of hope. Um, Certainly, there has to be hope in the sense of, when you begin to undertake a project like this that you may never see completely to fruition, but that there's a hope for the world that's yet to come. Um, and I chose this topic of hope this morning, just partly, of course, because of all that's going on uh, in our political world today. In our world, we wonder, well, where is there any hope? Um, and I'm going to share some from a book I wrote a while back called Hope and Witness in Dangerous Times. And its subtitle is Lessons from the Quakers on Blending Faith, Daily Life, and Activism. And the last chapter's on hope. And it's easy to despair. I mean, there's times when life just seems hopeless, or the task ahead of us as people of faith just seem overwhelming. How can we, what difference can we make? Or do we can be easily overwhelmed by the massive suffering in this world, the political shenanigans going on, and may just feel like throwing our hands up in surrender and saying, what's the use? Yet hope, I think, is vital to our very lives. It's hard to continue living and breathing if we don't have hope. But our hope has to be in that which is more than our limited sight. As early friends used to ask each other or urge each other, they would talk about that which is eternal, the truths which are eternal. And so we need to place our hope and our faith in that which is eternal, that which in some ways will outlive this earthly life, but not all life. As I think about that, I often am reminded of George Fox's words to Quakers in the middle of the harsh persecutions of 1663, which may seem far removed from us time-wise, and it certainly is. But as far as the political shenanigans and who's in charge and it was the midst of the English Civil Wars, and Quakers were being persecuted, and Fox writes this beautiful poetic piece that begins, "Sing and rejoice, ye children of the day and of the light, for the Lord is at work in this thick night of darkness that may be felt. And truth doth flourish as a rose, and the lilies do grow among the thorns, and the plants atop the hills, and upon them the lambs doth skip and play. And never heed the tempest or storms, floods, nor rains, for Christ is over all and doth reign. And so be of good faith and valiant for the truth." In the thick night of darkness the truth doth flourish as a rose. Fox was reminding his readers, and I would say us today, that God's eternal truth will triumph. And I believe it's important to hold to that hope. As children of the divine, as friends of Jesus, as we sort of call ourselves, the religious society of friends, well, who are we friends of? You know, we're invited to work with God in the redemption of this world. It's an Jewish concept that I love. It's called tikkun olam, and I never say it exactly right because I don't know Hebrew, and my rabbi friend Aaron always teases me about my pronunciation of Hebrew words. But it does mean working together with God in the redemption of the world. We need to work together with God in the redemption of the world in ways that feed our soul while we care for others. A work and witness rooted in the life of the Spirit is one that's full of hope. That's what should give us hope. That we are not just working alone, we are working together with the divine and others all around this globe who are endeavoring to live up to the light they've been given. When we do work and witness in the life of the Spirit, it leads us from hateful words and actions to healing words and actions. It can lead us to giving a message that's life-giving, that changes the world instead of just us being against whatever thing we're against at that time. It's a life of radical hope that stands in stark contrast to the attitudes and actions of people who would harm and divide us all. I recently read a piece called Kindness as Radical Resistance. And the premise of the piece is, in this world that's so hateful and so anti, to live a life of kindness, especially towards those who are difficult to be kind to, is a real form of resistance. We friends say there is that light of God in everyone. How do we respond to that light? In those who would want to divide and harm us. Eberhard Arnold, who was the founder of the Bruderhof, though not a Quaker, had a lot in sympathy with friends. He wrote, "Our expectation of the kingdom can't be a passive waiting, sweet, soft occupation with ourselves and our like-minded friends. No, if we truly expect God's kingdom, we will be filled with divine power. Then the social justice of the future, with its purity of heart and divine fellowship, will be realized now, wherever Jesus himself is present. Our belief in the future must bring change to the present. The spirit of expectation is a spirit of action because it is a spirit of faith. Faith is bravery. Faith is reality. If we have faith, even a small seed, we cannot regard anything as impossible. Nothing is impossible, even when it seems so in these dark and dangerous times. As my friend Carrie Newcomer sings, it's impossible, impossible, impossible until it's not. With spiritual grounding in the religious society of friends, I think we can find a hope that is not a silly, foolish notion. Rather, it is a realistic, eyes wide open view to the facts of injustice and want in this world. A sort of hope that calls us to healing, courageous and compassionate work and witness. It's a hope that helps us remember those who work for those things, same things in generations past. With divine assistance, they brought about many improvements in people's lives, in society at large. So shall we. We are not alone, but surrounded by the Spirit. Our past co-workers witness and empowered by their vision and hope. We may not achieve all our goals. Realistically, we know we won't. But still, with divine assistance, we can together make a very real difference in our hurting and suffering world. And a cheerful, expectant, life-changing hope for those we work for and with awaits us. Hope beckons us forward to a faith that matters right now in this time and place. And I want to close with a poem by Kim Stafford called Citizen of Dark Times. Agenda in a time of fear. Be not afraid. When things go wrong, do right. Set out by the half-light of the seeker, for the well-lit problem begins to heal. Learn strength toward the difficult. We have not arrived to explain, but to sing. Prune back regret to let faith grow. When you hit rock bottom, dig farther down. Grief is the seed of singing, shame the seed of song. Keep seeing what you're not saying. Plunder your reticence. Songbird guards a twig. Its only weapon, a song. Again, the words of Fox. Sing and rejoice, ye children of the day and of the light. Let us prepare to move into extended worship at this time.